there by your side. We prepare when friends turn to foes, when time starts to slow. Remember the faces lost and gone. When friends turn to foes, the moons cast no glow. Remember the reason you go on. I was there by your side. I was there by your Getting up on a dream, you know that ain't no way to live. And I don't wanna be ordinary, got too much to give. Refill my reason and wipe off the dust. My heart is jet fuel, it's time to combust. Full speed and fire up the engines, a supernova ascending. Nothing's gonna slow me down. No time to rest on the failures, each one a lesson for later. Nothing's gonna slow me down. And it ain't easy alone, a helping hand is hard to find. You never dwell on the defects now when you're two of a kind. Blitzing and bolting to desperate frontiers. Clear out the waste jam, a wrench in the gears. Full speed and fire up the engines, a supernova ascending. Nothing's gonna slow me down. No time to rest on the failures, each one a lesson for later. Nothing's gonna slow me down. Yeah, you and me, we're gonna light up the sky. Light up the sky. Refill a reason and wipe off the dust. Our hearts are jet fuel, it's time to combust. Full speed and fire up the engines, a supernova ascending. Nothing's gonna slow me down. No time to rest on the failures, each one a lesson for later. Nothing's gonna slow me
Oh, make sure I'm not muted again. Make sure you guys can actually hear me this time for this intro. Anyways, welcome Commanders, and welcome to another live stream, and welcome to the Pap Chat. My name is Commander Fuzziviz, and today we are chilling at the Community Gold. But as most of you have probably already heard by now, Frontier have released a little brief overview on what we should expect for Squadrons in the Q4 portion of the update, and they're trying to get feedback from the community. So today, along with blowing up, and contributing to the CUG and defending the traders of Narri, I would like to go over the details that they've released so far and kind of go over discussion, a little discussion between myself and Commander Genesis, who has kindly joined me for this massacre, today's massacre.
Yeah, I'm always down for a massacre.
And of course, just like Genesis's, your guys' input and any opinions that you have towards any of the information that you hear today as far as what they've released about Squadrons, feel free to put down in the chat with us about it, or leave it in the comment down below if you're watching this later down in the day or at another time. We'd love to get your guys' opinions on what they have in store for us. So, let me pull out the good old forum they have. Just so you guys know, I've left the link to the forum down below, so if you want to voice any concerns, opinions that you have towards Squadrons, you can do so. I'll go over details that they want to reserve for a later forum. FYI, there's a couple topics that they have briefly grazed over but would leave for a later time. Okay, so I'm going to read this directly from the forum, so it's word for word. It was posted by Adam Waite. It says, "Hello, Commanders. For our first look at Squadrons, we're going to be covering the basics of what Squadrons is, how you create or join, and what core functionality a squadron will provide. Now, it's worth mentioning that these are initial ideas and subject to change before the Q4 update, which includes Squadrons. Also, please remember, more topics related to Squadrons will be added to this forum in the coming weeks." So their first topic, what is a squadron? A squadron is a group of commanders who want to band together and organize themselves in game. This might be this might be to play together or focus on certain types of gameplay, such as bounty hunting, community goals, or perhaps rescuing commanders who find themselves out of fuel. Little jab at the fuel rats there. I think Bobo would be appreciative of that. Anyways.
I wouldn't say it's a jab, I would say it's
And FYI, guys, bear with me. As you guys could probably already hear, I am suffering from allergies and pet allergies at the current point in time. So, if my voice crackles a little bit or you hear me snifflings, I'm sorry, and I apologize. I ask for your forgiveness. But anyways, the idea of Squadrons is to provide a series of features that support multiplayer organization and gameplay. In this focus feedback forum, we will be covering the creation and management of Squadrons. Okay, second bullet point. How do I create a squadron? Once Squadrons is introduced, they will have their own full-screen UGI page. When opening this, without having joined a squadron, you will have the option to search for a squadron or join or create your own. Creating your own squadron will involve paying a fee or a credit fee, amount to be determined, and then setting the following values: squadron name. This has to be a unique name that cannot be changed once the squadron is created. Squadron ID, a short ID or tag. Primary language, the primary language that the squadron will be communicating in. Attribute, choose the pre-selected list of attributes. The list is currently relaxed, family, or devoted. Oh, and devoted. Tags. Each squadron will be able to select a few tags from a wider list. This list includes elements such as PvP, bounty hunting, and time zones such as UTC+3. Superpowers. Choose one of the following: Empire, Federation, Alliance, or Independent. Our list of tags is a work in progress. What tags would you be keen on seeing? Excuse me, I'm sorry. Once all these values have been set and the commander is happy, the credit fee is paid. Excuse me. Let me start over. Once all these values have been set and the commander is happy with the credit fee is paid and the squadron is created. The commander who creates the squadron will automatically be assigned as squadron leader. All right, so I'm going to take a pause there for a second for two reasons. First reason, I need to take a drink real quick because allergies are not forgiving. All right. Second reason, we'll just pause to kind of go over what we've went over so far. So to create a squadron, you got to select a name, which for PAP that's pretty easy. The Pilot's Ascension program. ID. So I'm wondering if that's close to or similar to the ID tags that we place on our ships. So a series of 3 to 4 letters. And then 2 to 3 numbers.
That one?
Let me get a nice, good old-fashioned close-up. I swear I know how to work the camera suite.
In a bad spot.
That's fine. It's good enough to see. So something of that similar fashion? Or something different? Attributes? I'm wondering if you can select more than one or just one. Also, this question is going to be extended out to the viewer group and to you as well, Genesis. Do you have any other tags? Yeah, tags that you would like to see added to the game other than what they've listed? PvP, bounty hunting, UTC+3.
Like mentoring, pretty much what PAP's based around, I suppose.
Yeah.
So that's the thing as well.
I'm hoping that I'm glad they say able to select a few tags from a wider list. So I'm glad that means that we can pick like a few of them. PvE, mentoring, let's see, what's another good one? I guess they could extend it out to Thargoids at the current point in time, like Thargoid defense, offense.
Yeah, that too.
I'm sure some of the larger factions have some pretty good ones too.
Focusing on the Thargoid defense at the moment. We're all busy running around grabbing materials for engineering.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if you've heard this yet, Genesis, but apparently sometime in the near future, they're going to be decreasing the required materials for the Guardian weapons and the engineering that is required for it. Jump Priest. I mean,
that's going to be helpful.
Yeah, actually.
People who haven't gone through and unlocked them yet, anyway.
Yep, I've pretty much unlocked every single one except for the turreted versions of the weapons, so I guess I'll be saving those for then. But anyways, let's go ahead.
Ahead of me anyway.
Yeah. Some point in time, I'll give you a hand with that too. I'll obviously need to be going down there to pick up my own for the turreted versions as well. Anyways, let's go ahead and continue. Next bullet point they've got here is how do I find or join a squad? As mentioned previously, if a commander accesses the squadron page and is not currently a part of a squadron, they will have the option to search for one to join. Using the same fields as listed above, the commander can search by whatever is important to them and receive a list of squadrons based on the criteria. The commanders will be able to look at a set of squadron statistics and use this to decide which squadron they want to apply to. Once commanders find a squadron they like, they can send an application. This application will include a small amount of text that, by default, will include some information about the commander, highest elite rank, for example, but can also be edited if required. The squadron leader and officers will be able to see a list of all commander applicants, and at this point can send the applicants an invite. Excuse me. Both the invitee and inviter must be online at the same time for the invitation to be sent and accepted. This option to invite will also be available on other areas of the HUD where commanders can select other commanders, for example, commander's friend list. We are currently considering capping squadron membership at 250 commanders, but we're interested to hear your feedback on the matter. And that's where I'm going to stop for a little bit of a discussion break. And I'm sure Genesis has kind of already talked about this prior to us hopping on live, but obviously they need to consider not capping, especially towards the fact that,
or at least having the ability to upgrade the squadron.
Absolutely.
Or upgrade the cap. Because we do have player factions like Cannon, for instance, that have a lot of members. And, you know, Cannon's pretty important, too. I mean, they do a lot of research that helps out the player community. And,
you know, another player faction...
Not be able to have a system where they can all be inside their own player faction would be disappointing.
Another player faction that would definitely benefit from this is the Fuel Rats. I mean, a solid communication between players is pretty key there, especially not only for their rescues, but for their potential let's say ambushes, I guess. Anyways, the fake callers, so to speak.
Ease of calling in backup.
Exactly. Another point I want to pull out here. Let's see here. Let's see. Where was it? Okay, so both the invitee and the inviter must be online at the same time for the invitation to be sent and accepted. I think this is another point that we commanders need to talk to Frontier about, because not everyone's online at the same time, especially for, you know, the popular the bigger player factions that have been said so far. You know, for us on the Pilot's Ascension program side of it, we have members of all over the globe. So, you know, times at which people are on are vary depending on where they're living, or what they're doing, what their lives like, you know, work, stuff like that. So it would be a good idea for Frontier to consider just allowing commanders to accept invitations even when invitee is not online, because they may see a group they really want to join, but I mean ultimately no one's on, or it's a growing player faction at the current point in time. No one's on, I guess, because I mean with you know, Fuel Rats and the Canon members, I'm sure there's people online. There's got to be someone online, but there's only so many officers that a squadron can really have. You can't make the whole squadron officers. and have power. That's not how structure of a guild nor how this would work. I mean, don't want to give too much power out, so to speak. Let's see here. I'm really curious about this squadron statistics.
Would that
And how-
encompass all the players in the squadron, or what would those statistics be based on?
Well, there's a few things that I can speculate on. If they somehow incorporated the player factions that are already implemented in the game so far, so like the Pilot's Ascension program, other player factions that own their own system and have their system name in there, I can see that being a statistic. The activities that your squadron have participated in together, the overall assets that may have been occurred together so far. It may also take into account.
Would they also include all the things that we've done previously as well?
Well, the only thing I can think of that they could include as in previously is our current assets, previous and current, so to speak. So I can see them tallying every member's.
In community goals. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
as we go through and we do community goals every now and again, I wonder if it would track the progress we make in those, or have made in those, I should say.
That'd be good. Yeah. Maybe break it down to like credits earned by what.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's go and continue. The next bullet point they have is, can I leave a squadron? Excuse me. Commanders can leave a squadron at any time. If a leader chooses to leave a squadron, they must pass the leadership mantle onto another commander. If all commanders leave a squadron, then it will be disbanded, and any assets that squadron holds will also be lost. The only time the leader can leave and not pass on the mantle of leadership is when they are the last member to leave, and the squadron is disbanded. Okay, that whole part makes sense. I really don't think anyone's gonna really. Yeah, that makes sense. That's a solid structure right there or solid functionality of disbanding a. And cool thing too, because in a lot of other games, the player faction may disband, but the name still stays within the system, so no one can take on ownership later down the road. If they come up with the name, they can, they will say, it doesn't say, sorry, this name's already been taken. But for some people, they go down into the nitty-gritty. Really, someone's got this name? I really got to look into this. It'd be disappointing to see that no one's been on for months and months and months. So, anyways, or no one in it at all. It's just a name that's floating around in the system.
But it still requires the players to go into the game and leave the faction.
Yeah.
I don't think it would be based on their actual times being active and non-active.
Well, to a point, I mean, if you've got, I would say let's just make it an even solid number, a 6-month period where no one's on. If that's the case, 6 months to a year, if no one's been on, yeah, that's not a player faction that's solid. Or active at least. Alright, next bullet point. The squadron's hierarchy and privileges. You may have noticed above that they have referred to both squadron leaders and officers. There are 3 classes of squadron members, and these are leader. The squadron leader has all the privileges and can set which privileges officers have. Officers. The officers have whatever privileges the leader has set for them. Pilot. This is a standard level and the majority of the squadron members will be pilots. They will have whatever privileges the leader has set for them. Now, I'm curious to hear from the community. Are there any other classes that you'd like to see in Elite Dangerous? I mean, the Pilot's Ascension program, being as it's a new group and we're still building, and we'll always be progressing and building Pilot's Ascension program, so that's a given. But one of the topics that has come across the bullet point of things to do is to create different divisions within a Pilot's Ascension program. So, a system security defense division, a exploration division, a mining division, trading division, stuff like that, right? So, I can see the need for like being able to create your own classes aside from the 3 that they give you, so that you can better define who does what if they are doing something in a specific role or fashion. So if they're a division leader, so to speak, they should have that title and maybe a tag to identify them as such, and then so that they can in turn give that tag to other people within that same division. So I'm really curious to hear what other people have to say about that. If they feel that one, Frontier needs to expand on that further, or if 2, just give us the option to customize our own apart from the default ones they give us.
I think being able to customize our own is going to be ultimately the best solution to that.
Yeah. The thing is that it's still up in the air as far as whether they're going to be able to tie in the player faction or the player factions that are already in the game so far with their squadrons. I hope they do. I really do. And I don't see any reason as to why that would be difficult. I mean, all they would really need to do is, it wouldn't be too bad either. So when the commander, the wing leader, or I'm sorry, the leader, squadron leader, when he creates his squadron, essentially, there should be a field that says, do you already have a faction within Elite Dangerous? You can click yes, and it pops open another field of fill-in, right? And then you start typing in Pilot's Ascension program, so you start, like, first five-letter P, and it pops up Pilot's Ascension program, and you click create and pay your fine, or pay your credits for the squadron. Now, the question would be, is if you do that, would your influence with the Pilot's Ascension program instantly go to Allied? Does it stay there permanently? Or if say you accidentally or intentionally cause harm to Pilot's Ascension program while in the squadron, will your influence go down? And if so, could we see an implementation of, say, someone's influence within their player faction goes down far enough, it either A, gives a notification to officers and squadron leader that someone is, going against their player faction within the group, within the game, or B, jail them or ban them, or not ban them, or take them out of the squadron, so to speak. That's an implementation that I think would be a difficult portion for Frontier to implement. Me, on my personal scale, I think they should leave it alone. I think that when you align your squadron with whatever factions in the game, you should still see them as an allied color, but you still have to do the work to be allied with them and get the missions that pay out well enough to be allied, right? Because it gives new members...
Why not just make that an internal ranking system, like it already is, pretty much?
True. Also, They could add benefits too, like a reward system for even being that. I mean, you already get it kind of with the increased payout of missions, but let's say tagging, for instance, a emblem that can go onto your ship that is the emblem of your faction. That could be a possibility. However, that they would also need to implement a system for us to create our own emblems for the game or import them somehow. So I guess that would be a little bit of a no-go on their side. That would be maybe. I mean, it's a possibility. Maybe maybe they have a system where once a week they check their inbox and it's subject specific. Hey, this is my player faction's emblem, and then they kick out a few batches a week of different emblems for their factions. And then if you own your if you own your carrier or your a station that has the Pilot's Ascension program mission, maybe if you get 100% on your influence, you get the emblem right off the bat.
Yep.
Anyways, so that's kind of my brainstorming on the whole class system so far. What do you think, Genesis? Any ideas so far, or anything you want to add to this?
Well, touching on what you were just talking about there, having custom emblems and stuff. When we create our emblems and stuff, and if we are able to, let us create multiple tiered icons, so we can tell the difference between pilots versus officers versus the wing leader himself.
Almost like badges.
Cool thing. Yeah, like badges, like what we got for the last community goal. We all got bounty hunting badges, and depending on how high in the tiers you got, depended on what ones you actually unlocked. So, for instance, for me, I got into the top 10%, so I got the gold, the silver, the bronze, and the standard bounty hunter badges.
Yeah.
Which is, kind of cool. And I think it would be a neat little feature to have in the game. Extra little visual thing that we can have.
Yeah. Again, it'd be interesting to see if they'd be able to implement some form of emblem making ability for us. And they could even go so far as make that a purchasable ability, right? So how we have to purchase our nameplates in order to actually put our ship's name on the ship? Similar
Yep.
deal. You have to purchase the right to make an emblem for your squadron.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see them implementing that.
It's not a pay-to-win kind of aspect to it. It's just a extra thing you can tag.
It's only for pure aesthetic purposes.
Mm-hmm. Which is, dude, that would be another. Actually, I'm gonna hold on, hit the brakes right there, and save that what's in my brain right now for a little bit later. It's the carrier and some cosmetics ideas that'd be kind of cool. Anyways, moving on. Bullet point. Let's see here. Let's see. Okay, yeah, we were on what privileges can a leader set. Okay, so the squadron leader can set the following privileges. Officers can invite commanders into squadrons. Yes or no. Gray out if new members cannot join. Officers can kick pilots from squadrons. Yes or no. Officers can plot a jump for a fleet carrier. Yes or no. Officers can select purchase upgrades for fleet carrier. Yes or no. Officers can set a message of the day. Yes or no. This is a current list of privileges, but we expect to add more as development progresses, and we discover them as and we discover the need for them. Okay, so a couple of things. Officers can kick
Address the
pilots.
elephant in the room first. Being the carrier ship option.
Okay, yeah, let's go ahead and do that. So, yeah, officers can plot a jump for a fleet carrier, yes or no. Okay, so before we start our discussion with that one, I'm going to first state off that Frontier, later down the little list here, they've notated that they acknowledge the fact that they have released the idea of fleet carriers, but it'll be a part of a completely different discussion on the forum. But for now, we as players and online right now, we're gonna go ahead and speculate a little bit. So, officers can plot a jump for a fleet carrier. Now, I've already discussed this at a different meeting with the Pilot's Ascension program, but I honestly think this should be a voting system and a 2-week cycle almost. And actually, the duration of how long the station stays in whatever system it goes to should be customizable to the squad itself, or squadron itself.
Well, they might just leave it as, say, if we choose to jump it somewhere, then it would stay there until we choose to jump it somewhere else.
That too, giving us the option to. Well, I mean, it can ultimately be a almost value system, so to speak. So, squadron leader and squadron officers go to their go to the squadron UI GUI page, and say it's a tab system, they have an extra tab on the top left that says fleet carrier. It may give us information on what
we can do it from that page. I might suspect that they'll have to make us get onto the fleet carrier itself in order to plot a course.
Fair.
It just depends on how far they want to bring us into immersion.
Yeah, and I think they're really pushing for the immersion button, really, because this ultimately means that you have to stay active and have almost squadron meetings, right? And so this is something I want to do anyways, but like a bi-weekly meeting where you discuss not only squadron activities that are going to be set forth for the group within a 2-week period, whether that be CG bounty hunting, PvP, an event that you have planned, so to speak, but also carrier discussions within that meeting, that bi-weekly meeting, like where is it going to go next, why is it going there, and then put out a vote for people within, let's say, a couple-day period. People vote on if it's going here, or should it stay, so to speak. Yeah.
Yeah.
So immersion is definitely a big thing in this game, because you ultimately have to play the role. This whole squadron deal is just screaming guild, and as everyone knows, the most successful guilds are structured. They are down to a T of what's going on. Squadron leaders are communicating with their officers, so their officers are communicating with the pilots themselves, making sure that the gears are going and goals are being met depending on what that squadron's focus is.
Designed for.
Yep. Future side note for those that are watching the live stream, Pilot's Ascension program is 100% making their own squadron, and we'll definitely have our own live stream later down the road to really discuss what Pilot's Ascension program does, but it essentially helps out new players and brings everyone together to have just a wonderful, fun experience in the Pilot's Ascension in Elite Dangerous. So keep that in the back of your minds, because that's going to be a future deal for us. Anyways, back on the topic here. I wanted to actually expand a little bit more on these privileges that they've got here. So, messages of the day. This is going to be interesting, because I think for us as a group, we're going to be nominating people weekly, whoever's going to do the message of the day. And it's going to get interesting. I'm wondering what... I mean, beside the obvious, I'm kind of wondering on what the limitations of the message of the day is going to entail. And I guess that also applies to whatever the squad expects from it as a whole. But yeah, that's just gonna be an interesting deal. Let's see what else. Commanders can advise squadrons. So officers can kick pilots from squadrons, yes or no. So I think there's an extra value that they should add. And then this kind of dips back into what I was saying originally with the fleet carrier. Voting system or a notification to squad leader when officers wanting to kick someone out. Because it eliminates the risk of having of the typical having too much power scenario, where an officer, if say an argument spout or a disagreement of where someone didn't communicate something properly in the way that they wanted to, and it was just read off wrong, you don't want an officer having the ability to be just write that off and you're out of here kind of deal. It should be a discussion based between other officers and the squadron leader to make sure that everyone's unanimous of said kick. I mean, I know that's going to vary between people and how they run their squads, but ultimately that's what's going to need to be, for a larger group, or depending on what you stand for as your player faction goes. I mean, for us, we're very big on anti-griefing and helping out others, right? So, for us as a player faction, we run mainly on a warning system versus a, you messed up once, you're out of the game kind of deal. We'd rather give people a chance to improve from where, the mistakes that they made, versus just outright punishment. So I think that bullet point
has the benefit of the doubt.
Absolutely. Now I think that there are certain lines that can be drawn that would dictate an instant ban. Don't get me wrong. I mean, there has been situations and scenarios where I can see it happening and the need for it. But still, for me as a wing leader, I am strongly for making sure a discussion is made as to why, what happened, where all the details need to be there in order for me to understand what happened, and for other people to be unanimous towards it too. So anyways, yeah, like I said, the kicking pilots squadron, I think they need to add another field besides the yes-no deal. I don't think it should be a straightforward, yeah, they have that power. I think it should have sub-privileges below it, too. And also, with each set of privileges, depending on what type of privileges it is, it should have the ability to specify, so to speak. Maybe one officer is a little more trusted with the decisions, and well, I'm gonna sound like a hypocrite here in a second, but maybe one commander, how do I put this? So for Pilot's Ascension program, ultimately there's 3 founders, right? But for this idea that they have, it's ultimately going to mean that there's only one squad yeah, it's squad leader, right? But for those other 2 founders, in my instance, I would want to give them absolute power. Like, not absolute, but, you know, they have all the privileges set for them, so that they have the same amount of ownership of the wing, or the group, as I do, because they're a founder. They literally hold the same rank as me. But officers below us should be able to specify their privileges and what their criteria entails, is what I'm kind of getting at. I know that's getting very specific in the details, but for something that's going to be a ultimate guild functionality for player factions, I think it's essential. Alright, blah, blah, blah. Any other notes you want to touch on, Genesis, before we move on to the next one? Next bullet?
Nope. I'm thinking we got everything explained quite well with that one.
Cool. Alright, next bullet is Squadron Communications. Let's see here. One of the most important features that Squadron adds is the ability for groups of commanders to communicate with each other. Squadron facilitates this with the following features. Group comms. A new feature that will be used by squadrons is group comms. This will add channels and other functionality to the chat panel. When a squadron is created, the squadron channel and the squadron officers channel, which is only available to officers and the leaders, are automatically created, and any other squadron members are added to the relevant channels. This allows squadron members to communicate regardless of where they are in the galaxy. Excuse me. The feed. The squadron's overview page, which becomes available once the commander joins a squadron, will have a list of automated posts that are added to a feed. This feed will provide essential feedback on the squadrons, the fleet carrier, and other activities. For example, when a player joins the squadron, a message will automatically be added to the feed. The feed is limited to a certain amount of posts, amount to be determined. Those members with the correct privileges will also be able to add a message of the day to the feed. The latest message will always remain stickied to the top of the feed. This provides a place for officers to provide orders for the rest of the squadron. We are investigating the possibility of external squadron website. We would love to hear what functionality you would like to see on Squadron's website. Okay, so let's start off with group comms. Ultimately, what this sounds like to me is Discord, kind of scaled down a slight bit. They didn't really specify that we'd be
in-game as well.
Yeah, this is good. For groups like Canon Research, this is perfect because they can specify a chat channel for, say, Guardian Research, or a channel for Xeno Research. For the Pilot's Ascension program, we can specify different channels for, like, say, mining, exploration, CG, bounty hunting, or we can simplify that in some form or fashion. So, I mean, I don't really think there's much more to go into as far as that goes. I do like the fact that they notated that the squadron channel, obviously, that's going to be made off the bat. However, let's see, it says where is it? Okay. The Squadron channel and the Squadron Officer channel are automatically created, and any Squadron members are added to the relevant channel. Okay, so yeah, never mind. So I'm glad that works. That's like general chat for most Discords and Commander chat for most Discords. So pretty simple. The feed. So we kind of already have something similar to the feed. When I read this, I'm picturing what you see whenever you get to a station. Yeah, or Galnet News. Statistics on what I'm expecting. As they stated, any new members will be message will automatically appear. So you'll see message of the day. I'm assuming recent new members, and then a news feed, statistics on the squadron itself, activities that they've partaken in. I would love to see like highest amount of credits earned during what activity, so to speak. So it kind of gives a little bit of a spotlight for commanders working within the squad. Also gives them a reason to work for it, like, hey, I want to be a part of the spotlight in the feed of this week. You know, that'd be cool.
Get them bragging rights.
Exactly.
Get them bragging rights.
You know, I could see many of our members being like...
It'd make a great way for squadrons to find people, like, to discern people who are actually active in the game, and be able to find people that are actually looking for promotion within the groups.
Absolutely. I mean, if you see the same name on the board like a couple months straight, I mean, there's something screaming that that's a devoted member right there. Just saying. Either that or they're trying to hold their title with a iron grip that's comparable to Thanos' gauntlet. Sorry, I had to make the reference. Let's see here. And I've already touched on the topic earlier, but for the message of the day, I'm really gunning for, like, we nominate someone a week. That'd be pretty cool. And I'm really interested to see some of the
words I could be put in there. Oh my god.
And you guys out there watching this live stream, as always, you guys are more than willing, or you guys are more than welcome to put any opinions that you have on any of these topics we're touching on right now. But I'm really curious, what if you had the power? And keep it friendly, PG please. What would you make your message of the day if you had the power for it? I'm curious.
Well, here's the thing, I couldn't keep it PG.
As long as you keep that criteria, maybe we'll see the message of the day on the Pilot's Ascension Perfect.
I could get it would be commanders, be safe out there, be good, or behave or be good at it, not to get caught. Something along those lines.
You know, I'm gonna be that like cheesy boss, like there's no I in team. Alright, anyways, so let's go ahead and touch on the next bullet point here, but this one's going to be very vague. Just because they mentioned it earlier within the forum, it's the fleet carrier. As you may have noticed above, it will be possible for squadrons to possess a fleet carrier. We will be devoting an entire focused feedback thread to squadron fleet carriers, so please refrain from discussing it at this time. Oh, Frontier, don't discuss it. I think not. We will speculate.
Yeah.
We will
giving us all this information with little hints and tips. Of course we're going to speculate.
So I'm going to go ahead and throw out the bullet points that we're going to be speculating on. We're going to leave out the question of, like, how much does everyone think how much it's going to cost, because first question we should think of is, how are they going to discern assets? Is it going to be assets that we currently have? like our ships and combine together, like ships, current money, current credits, I should say, be immersion like today. Anyways, will it tally up all of whoever's within that squadron, and then that's their value towards purchasing a fleet carrier? Or is it going to have to be an ultimate guild bank situation where, if we giving the squadron itself the ability to make their community goal within the squadron, right? So, say for an example, we want to get a fleet carrier. We know the purchase value of it. Say we're just gonna throw out a big number, 1 billion, right? 1 billion credits for us to purchase and maybe or upgrade the fleet carrier. So then, we set that dollar value that we have as a goal, and whoever wants to contribute to it throws their money into the pot. Or can we kind of get a little specific here with the squadrons, almost like community goals, like kill X amount of, bounty hunting, like destroy this X amount of ships in order to contribute towards community goal kind of deal, or trading resource in return for the carrier, the carrier, and actually that would be a pretty cool element for Frontier to expand to think about. If the squadron wants to propose for a fleet, they should make a community goal kind of element to it, so that entices the entire group to contribute towards it, and also squadron missions and their payouts ultimately. If a squadron assigns a mission for their squadron, so to speak, how do you determine payout value? Does that come out of the guild bank, so to speak? Or is that just the system throwing out imaginary credits? Kind of steered off topic with that mission element, but kind of same similar aspect to it. How will we purchase the freight carrier?
Ideology completely. Is it going to be like a guild bank storage system where it's down to the players that are in that particular guild or squadron in this instance to donate the funds to the thing of their own free volition?
Yeah.
Is it going to be that kind of situation as well?
Or taxing.
That too.
Also,
I suppose that option would be down to the squadron leader and what kind of settings he has it on when he makes the squadron to start off with. But another little nasty subject that I want to get onto is there going to be any upkeep cost or resource costs to maintaining or even getting the mega ship or carrier to jump to different systems? And I don't really want to be the guy to give FDev the idea, but it is a subject that needs to be touched on. And then are these resources going to be either engineering materials, data, or I really hope not. God, I really hope not, because they are hard enough to come across as it is. But oh man.
Well, I guess depending on the type of ship, because as they notated in privileges earlier, officers can select upgrades for fleet carrier. What kind of upgrades are these going to entail?
I do see him putting in like a materials cost for upgrades, but I really don't want the materials cost to maintenance and upkeep or general running costs, because that would make this game incredibly grindy for all players.
Yeah, and
in a squadron.
I know this would also depend on numbers of the squadron, and the numbers themselves might eliminate this idea in the back of my mind. But the speculation that I can draw from the way they've put together this list of potential or what they're wanting to implement for Squadrons. The upgrade packages, will vary depending on what your squadron is wanting your fleet carrier to do as far as the performance. Is it a can it perform like a capital class ship and engage in conflict zones to help out whichever faction you align yourself with? And in that sense, is it restricted to? So say if you want to engage in a CG, or not a CG, but a conflict zone for war or something like that within a system, does it have to be a war with the current faction, or can you just, the same way that we as players contribute to conflict zones, and how we choose the faction we're supporting to ultimately get our massacre missions going, right? And then, it's back onto touching the upkeep cost. Is it going to be something similar to what we see as far as our ships? We pay a credit credit value to repair our ship, refuel our fuel, or improve our integrity back, or increase our integrity back to 100%. And then material costs as well, because there's bound to be. One material cost I can see, like right off the bat, and something that they can implement as a storyline element too, tantalum. For those that don't know, tantalum is a very big element in the Elite Dangerous world. It is what is made to create FSDs. Actually, in-game lore war has ensued because of tantalum. So I can see that as an element, and we come across tantalum as an element, a raw material, so actually. So I can see that being as a material cost for a ship if that were to be the case. But, at this point it's really all speculation. But our speculation does help Frontier now rather than later, so to speak. As they're thinking of putting forth the discussion for the forum, they've got our ideas already in mix, and I kind of hope they kind of hear us on this one. Because, a fleet carrier, do you have to worry about fuel? And if so, is it like fuel scoop kind of element? You have to be near a fuelable star to refuel, or is it an element that you have to collect for your ship to ultimately jump? Would be a good example. And actually, they could add that as a...
Not the latter.
Fair. See, that's something that they could invest some time into looking at, and an activity for the squadron itself. Oh yeah, you want to move your carrier? Well, provide this to make the jump, so to speak.
Yeah, but what if you're in a system that doesn't necessarily have what you need to get that?
Well,
then you've got to go on a big-ass search for it.
Well, okay, one thing I am sure we can expect from this is, say your squadron owns a fleet carrier, right? And say that fleet carrier is designed for exploration. It jumps an X amount of distance before it needs refueling. Same as typical as with any ship that's in this game. Okay. Well, everyone that's on the exploration ship, now this is what I would expect if we were to, say, own a fleet carrier and design it for exploration. So the way a typical expedition is put together, there are waypoints that are made or predetermined and set for people to meet up at within within X period of time. And then if, after that X period of time, they move on to the next area. So similar concept. The fleet carrier takes its jump with everyone on board. And then it finishes its jump with whatever destination it was predetermined. Then everyone leaves that ultimately leaves the station, explores out in a certain amount of distance, and while in doing so, now I know this is not ideal because when you think of exploration, the last thing anyone ever thinks about is cargo. Maybe sometimes, because now that we have collection limpets, it might be a viable option for some commanders, like myself, that may need a repair limpet because we accidentally ran into the sun too many times, or hit that asteroid when we were taking selfies in the middle of an asteroid belt. Definitely me. Anyways. Sorry guys if you guys can hear that in the background. My neighbor's dog is barking and they just got a lot to say out there. Anyways, back to on hand. So yeah. Gotta get back on topic before I lose my train of thought here. So anyways, back to the idea that I had. People, as they are exploring out away from the said fleet carrier, they're maybe collecting some form of material. I'd say the most viable source would be planetary. Everyone has an SRV. Well, mostly everybody. I love flying an SRV when I'm exploring. It's got to take that break, man. When you got star in your face, sometimes it's a very good thing to break from that. And
I even have a fighter hangar on there. I get so bored.
But
it's
anyways,
so monotonous. Go down to a planet, jump in a fighter, and crash myself into the surface. It's that bad. Needs something to blow up.
Wake up! Bam! Yeah, no, I gotcha. But yeah, like I said, guys, feel free to put in any opinions you guys have. What would you guys like to see as the fleet carrier? I know they say don't refrain from discussing it at this time, but yeah, right. What do you guys want to see as far as the fleet carrier? What kind of upgrades would you guys like to see, like packages-wise? And also, I'm going to dip back to what I was thinking about earlier. Cosmetics. Like, can we buy cosmetics for our fleet carrier? And if so, can it be something that we all donate to? Like, we all have a bunch of spare frontier points lying around. Frontier. Anyways, frontier points lying around from each of us. We all just collect it all together.
I have 50 points. I can't spend on anything, so Frontier, let me donate them.
Trading frontier points. I know that's a dollar value that people buy, but if it's going for a common cause, I see no reason for it. And you're obviously
And it keeps it in the same thing. It's only for cosmetic stuff. You know? And I'd like it to keep it that way.
Absolutely.
On
Thank you, Frontier, for that, by the way. No pay to win here.
Thank you.
Okay.
No Wallet Warriors here.
No. Okay, so dipping on to the next bullet point, and this is actually going to be the last one here, pretty similar to the fleet carrier bullet point, but squadrons and factions. We are aware that some groups will want to align their squadrons with a faction. We are currently looking at how we can make this work and allow squadrons to fly the flag of the faction. This is something we will be discussing in a later focused feedback thread, so please avoid any discussing for now. Again, Frontier, we're going to be talking about it. But obviously we're not going to blast your forum page with, speculation stuff. But for now, we can chit-chat about it. For me, I think the easiest way to implement this is when a squadron leader goes to and actually creates their squadron. They, in their criteria of filling out the forum, so to speak, for the application actually, for their squadron, you know, their name, their ID, what superpower they're aligned with. I think it should also have a optional. Do you have a faction within Elite you own or want to pledge to?
Yeah,
they're only
a great way to combine the two, to be able to actually be allied with your own player faction. Now that you say it,
I mean, the implementation wouldn't be too hard, I imagine, because I mean, when you look at an NPC player and they're aligned to a particular faction, you see that in their description at the bottom left-hand corner, bottom left-hand panel, when you're looking straight ahead, when you're just regular view or forward view. So they, like, say when you target a player, that same thing will show up at the bottom left-hand corner with their commander name. Also adding the ability for us to add an emblem. Now the emblem deal, I think that should be a reward basis. Like, your squadron needs to have X amount of members in order to issue out emblems, and the emblems can only be issued by those that have a influence percentage of X percent, designated by the leader, obviously. So, say for instance, we have X number of required members within a squadron to have said emblem or badge or whatever, and then pilot has, let's say, 80% influence and increasing. They now can stick the emblem on their ship to designate who they're aligned with. I'm surprised. I don't know if it's actually a thing, but I remember hearing a rumor down the line that tagging will also be a thing with squadrons. Putting together, actually, hold on. I think that was actually one of the criteria that they had to have when making a squad. Yeah, squadron ID. So, when you're a certain percentage influence with the faction in the system or wherever they're stationed at, you now have the ability to have that squadron ID and emblem, so maybe something along those lines. Although I think the ID should be interchangeable per member, because it'd be really confusing to have a PAP 01 all over the place, so to speak. Let's see. But yeah, this would all, I mean, I don't really think they would need to do much more than that. I mean, we as player factions influencing the factions that have been placed in the game, that system's already there. I mean, doing missions for your faction increases your faction's influence, and depending on those numbers will determine what's going on within your system, whether you're at war or you're shooting for an election or expansion. So that whole system's already implemented. They don't have to worry about that. Ultimately, it would just mean some form of identification between the faction's NPCs and the actual players that are part of that faction.
Yeah.
Also, dipping back into the fleet carrier discussion, if say you've designed your squadron's fleet carrier to be a conflict zone hunter, so to speak, or capital class ship,
even if you can do such a thing,
if you can,
You would
Can you
need some way for it to be assigned to a faction inside of that conflict zone, so that it doesn't shoot everything.
Another cool element that would be interesting, and would also derive more squadron participation is engineering. Engineering a capital class ship, like their guns, their hyperdrive.
Could be like an extra game mechanic in there as well, Fuzzy. So, say if the system next to the system that's owned by a player faction has a mega ship that's used for capital combat, capital ship combat, if the system next to that system is in a state of conflict or instability, let's make it so that we can go into those conflict zones with our ship and stick our nose into that fight as well. And possibly open up an opportunity for an expansion.
Mm-hmm.
I
Actually,
think that would be a pretty cool mechanic.
with that topic, another thing that's a pretty interesting element they should probably think about considering is coalitions and how coalitions work with Inara. So, say your squadron is in coalition with another squadron, and throwing out an example, there is a player griefing squadron in between the two of you. Well, say your squadron and your coalition wants to go to war against this player griefing faction. There should be some way to identify ally versus foe, so to speak.
Yep.
Um,
And so definitely having like a link, or being able to form a temporary alliance per se with another faction in order to take out the other faction would be nice.
mm-hmm. Yep. So, what else? I had another bullet point here. I kind of lost my train of thought there. So yeah, guys, let me hear what you guys think. For those that are watching the live stream and those that may be watching the live stream later down the road, what do you want to see for Squadrons? Is there a particular tag you want to see? Is there a particular type of activity you would like to see come out of Squadrons? I know one thing that I can think of. Granted, I don't know if Squadrons is going to come out in time for the storyline element, but the Thargoids. Okay, so we all know that the Thargoids are advancing into human territory. They've actually been within the bubble for the past couple month or so. An activity that the Squadrons could present to have is ultimately like a raid boss scenario, right? So, say a squadron goes into a point of interest, and it has waves of each type of Thargoid, right? You got your scouts, basilisks, interceptors, variant types. Anyways, you have each type that you have to deal with in a wave, right? Wave system. And as your final wave, the Hive Mother, or the Hive Queen, the squad goes after the Hive Queen, so to speak. That would be a great element, and actually would give almost like a MMO kind of feel aspect to it, because, I mean...
But here's the thing, would it actually be the Hive Queen though? Because you take out the queen, the nest essentially dies, or another queen will rise to take its place. That's something else that needs to be covered as well.
Yeah, they would have to be able to defend it via lore, so... I don't know, yeah, no, very, good question. But yeah, if you guys have anything
I do like that idea, and I think it should be a thing, because this game does need a raid boss of type, like kind of deal.
Yeah, and
Don't
I think they should have
be
stretched
like
it
a
out for.
one-time event sort of thing. I think it should be like a repeatable deal.
Yeah, something that people can go revisit over and over again. Also, another cool thing that I think that they should implement is, so for the application and invitation process, maybe some form of, I guess this would also depend on the type of player faction that you are, but for like PAP, its main core is instructional, right? So when an applicant joins, they have to wing up with an officer for an X period of time, not only to run through like rules of engagement, things to expect from the pilot's Ascension program, so on and so forth, right? Kind of a little bit of a flight evaluation, so to speak, to see if it's a good fit for not only you, but for you and the faction itself.
Yep.
Because, I mean, I can tell you from personal experience, reading something on paper doesn't always add up to what you actually receive or you encounter within that instance. You may get a... you may read that, yeah, Pilot's Ascension program is a player faction group that helps new players join up and find out, no, they don't. No, they don't. Not true, but, you know, that kind of scenario could play out when you join a player faction. So with that kind of window of, you know, experience or evaluation, it's not only for the wing to evaluate a new recruit, but the new recruit to evaluate the wing. Because, you know, one side may think they're a great fit, but the other side may not, you know, and the vice versa. But yeah, that's really all I've got so far for what they've given us, guys. There's really not much more past the point of where I've recited off of their website or off the forums. It's pretty much giving details on how you can give your suggestions, so to speak. I would love to hear from you guys, but please feel free. If you guys have any ideas you want to add, suggestions you want to give Frontier, like I said, I've put the link down in the description below. Go ahead and head over there. If you guys give us, or like, not give us, but if you guys put out a suggestion and share it with us, we may even go so far as to add that to the discussion if it isn't there already. I know myself personally, I'm going to keep a strong eye on the forums to kind of keep up to date on what's being discussed and what potential changes may happen. And as soon as they release those changes, we will definitely be back with another live stream, guys. So yeah, if you guys have any suggestions for them, like I said, links down in the description below. So before me and Genesis start going off and blowing stuff up to end our days, I would like to kind of chat with you guys, the viewers, a little bit. So last week was a little bit on the rough side for me. Had inventory. It was a little on the... I'd get home, I was exhausted, and hit the pillow. But now that inventory's over, I can now start increasing the amount of view time I have with you guys. So I am going to try to start doing more daily live streams, guys. I'll need to take a break here and there, obviously, but tomorrow I'll definitely be on as soon as I get home from work. But tomorrow will be Deep Rock Deep Rock Galactic game preview. So if you guys want to see that, definitely feel free to subscribe and hit that bell button so that you guys are notified whenever that happens. We also do other games along with Elite Dangerous being our primary. But yeah, like I said, I'll definitely be doing my best to increase the amount of content for you guys, because I know you guys have been streaming daily live streams. I'm trying, I swear. But we'll get there,
I wonder why they just didn't call Deep Rock Dwarvenauts. Because it's
Fair
just
enough.
Dwarven astronauts. I mean, like...
Dwarvenauts.
Dwarves in space. What are you gonna call them? Honestly.
Alright, so let me kick on our music now that we're done with our little teen description here. And it's time to blow stuff up. Genesis, I know you're in the top.
Send us another wing invite.
Oh, I did that.
Yeah, I accidentally walked away from my controller for too long. And, I went down. And, it locked me out.
So I'm feeling like an hour or so of some of the CG. I'd love to get into the 10% bracket, but I'm currently only at 25, so I'm aiming to blow stuff up at least the next 2 days.
Well, you shouldn't be that far off, because I think it was Mr. Takeover, I think it was, said he was at 28 million donated and in the top 10%, so...
Yeah, I think I'm sitting somewhere around the 15 marker, so I should get pretty close tonight, maybe. I definitely won't have as long of this play session as I usually do, because... Oh, work. Alright, so, I am currently piloting in my Chieftain. Looks like Genesis brought his Corvette, thankfully, because... yeah, this thing can handle itself, but it just takes a little longer than normal. I'm not seeing any targets, although I think we need to get ourselves a little closer to the center before we start seeing any targets. If we don't, we may hop out, jump back in, because we've been in this area for quite a while without me doing anything. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything. I'm 2K out from the center, so yeah, let's go ahead and hop out. Genesis, once you're out, let me know, and we'll run around and re-instance back in. Get a fresh batch of wanted pirates. And hopefully I won't make a fool of myself, and well, I'm sure you'll notice if I start shooting you excessively.
Excessively, yes. I'm out.
Alright, so I'm gonna turn around. Hopefully not run right into the asteroids. Wing bacon is on currently. Alright. My wing bacon hits a sizzling. Someone's out there. What the heck is a wing bacon? It's that little flap below, right? Alrighty, let's see here. Alright, getting a couple blimps. Go take a peek-a-boo. I've got a Cobra Mark III. He is wanted, wing of 2. I'm scanning. Looks like he's got a drop shit. Damn. Alright, I am scanning the gunship right now. He is officially scanned, and I am firing everything!
Tackle!
Alright, advantage, We're unfortunately, Genesis, you're the only one with the healing beam, so I cannot aid you in such affairs.
Situation.
Yeah. Can I go with the green? What was I thinking last night? Orange skin, is that green? Is that yellow? That's yellow, never mind. Color, guys, I'm not colorblind, I'm color confused. Okay, just saying. Oh, never mind. And he's down! Alright, next potential big thing. Oh, I'm getting scanned. Got a gunship scanning me. He is elite, and I am scanning away. Alright, scan complete. Firing! Woo! That was close. Shields are down. Well, I was using a shield cell bank, and we are already past the shield of no return. That's just me, or are you noticing what's there? Yeah, this guy is really not having a bad day. Daniel, yeah, you're not having a good time, buddy.
Oh, shield's having all the power on you. Oh,
He's gonna look at that. Doesn't work.
Accelerated shield regeneration.
And he's out of here. Oh. Alright.
Target destroyed.
Just skid right off the top. Sliding right across the top of your... Okay, I got a Cobra Mark III that's wanted down here. What else? Other federal gunship somewhere around here.
DBX there as well, that's one too.
Oh. Jesus. I think he was wanting to scan me, but he kind of forgot to pull the trigger. Oh, and he's dead.
If I ever saw my shield and health disappear that quickly,
Alright, QBX. It's firing at somebody. Scan complete. Fire. Got
Raised.
Got you. You want it? You're clean. Oh, you're definitely clean. Yep. Almost ran right into that asteroid. Clean. Really? You know what? This hard to believe, guys. Queen. might have to reinstance just so we can get some actual wanted ships in here.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yep, I'm not seeing a single soul here that's wanted. We may have killed them all.
Got one.
Cool. Scanning target. Scan and firing. Bye bye. Bye bye.
Keep us so showered.
Some scary. Hey, it's not a day until a good day until until the party. Party, right? I like to party.
Not really worth scanning there.
Too late.
Target destroyed.
Evidently not that much.
Dognar.
Oh, Conda.
Oh, coming.
Sound Scan detected.
Wing of 3. Let me scan everyone though before we start.
Yeah, I'll keep him
Second buddy. Chaos Federal gunship's been scanned. Oh. Where's his buddy? So he has 2 gunships. 2 gunships and one Atrimpass? Chris our cannon in the Federal gunship. This is the third. Oh. Alright, go for it.
Target shields offline.
know, whenever you fire at the target, if they have shields, it's as if it's made of paper mache, and you just like, they bad wolf that and just pull it right off him. You know, I just saw that. He like targeted, shot him, and then his shield's just instantly gone. Or was instantly gone.
That's why I like my beams the way this. Oh my god, I love the fact that there's no damage drop off. Oh, look up, look up. Oh, what else we got? Ah, elite soul ship.
Coming.
Going to go kill him straight away.
Oh, I don't know if I finished it. I don't think I did. There you go. That's done. It is not your day, buddy. Goodbye. That's what I call an instant death.
Target destroyed.
Once he can, other side ones, that's special effect. So much good for that.
We got 3 here. Scanning the adder. Second adder's on the scan.
Yeah, I'm trying not to shoot with this guy.
Ultra scans. Do the last one. Ultra scan, going fire. You are nothing more than a bug on my windshield. Targeting second adder.
devs watching, please fix that sound. It's very annoying. Every time I watch you, it's bad.
Target shields
I'm sure this game is already lost some healers making some
This kind of sounds like a, you know what grinds my gears moment.
destroyed.
It's like it was that.
Yeah, right.
Like the heroes just stay to play
Do you have anyone on your sensors? So all I'm getting is that gunship. Yeah, that's right. Ian. Just keep this fresh and badge. Get a new badge.
Built of sludge. You can finish your full, but I will never budge.
And just as you jump out, it starts spawning I got a clipper here.
On these legs of blood, I thought of thrush. And I hate me 'cause
There's like a massive fight
the
going on.
heroes got to wait. They went
Oh,
and wide
go
and
back.
whimper 'cause I snatch all of the
Kill this
meat.
clipper
They
Riley.
yell that I am cheap and that I undermine the rest. And
Go
everyone,
figure.
you know,
Go.
my
Right,
brothers
they get
is
her.
all the best. Get wrecked. 1, 2. Now I got my hooks in you. 2. Send you to the cooks to stew. 2. Now I got my hooks in
And you
you.
don't even aggroed on me.
What's that instrument you've got there? A trombone?
Speed again. Oh,
Light. Can you boil a cream in a chamber?
And just the shields go through.
I'm coming!
He's down to 31% health.
Scanning, 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 scanning. Now go ahead. Yep.
Under attack. Target destroyed.
It's not This is why those of us who have run regen beams. They're used to babysitting around these cars. That is.
Yeah, surprised we don't pay you by now.
What's that?
I'm surprised we're not paying you by now. Not saying there's a way, but... Alright, so I'm wanting to kill maybe one more good batch of players and then call it. I'm
Alrighty.
good batch.
So it's 5-9 maybe. What time you got up?
9 p.m.
It's getting late.
Target shields offline. Under attack. Target destroyed. Target shields offline.
Yeah, I got him. They're good.
Under attack. Target destroyed.
Man, I wish all eagles that came across were ranked.
No kidding, right?
Rank.
Oops. Oh.
Same as adults. It's so easy to
Dodged both.
Target destroyed.
Yeah, right? They're just teasing us.
Combat rank.
They're just teasing us.
Oh, clip up.
Coming. Coming. I'm coming.
Push. It's going for another one. See if I can get it. Whoops. Again. Whew. I hope I didn't run you over with that one.
Nope, I almost ran into an asteroid boosting right into it. Right behind you, and fire everything! Ouch!
Target shields offline. Under attack. Taking damage.
Oh, easy fuzzy.
Target destroyed.
Oops.
You nearly got sandwiched between a Corvette and a Clipper.
Corvette, Clipper, Chieftain sandwich.
Sounds like a very ugly mouthful.
Who are you calling an ugly mouth? Oh.
Shields online.
Oh, it's just something that I saw years ago.
Let's see anymore. How about you?
Looking.
Far away. Far away. You think?
Yeah, I got another.
Alright.
Search.
We got one more loop through, and then I think I'm gonna call it. Gonna comply. Oh.
Yes. The gunship.
Always right of the launch round.
How far are we? Fuzzy? How did you leave?
I did.
This is our place.
Sure. Always.
Shields.
Alright, turn it around.
Bloom of 1,000 flowers everywhere, this butterfly. Boom, got a fist of power, you can find me, but you can't close these eyes. Blinded by my light, bigger in my hands. The joy is in the fight. Break the blessing of the day. Watch out because I don't hold back. Keep pressing 'cause I'll never cry. Bursted with color, I spin. I'm keeping gates of hell. I got you underneath my spell. First up the hell went to heaven, now I'm breaking
Scan the 30 first.
And there's got it. you're gone.
Target destroyed. Target shields offline. Target destroyed. Accelerate shield regeneration. Under attack. Target shields offline. Target destroyed. Scan detected.
Getting scanned again.
Scans too.
Alright, let's quickly deal with this T-Rex then.
Frame shift charge detected.
Waiting for you.
That's what I reckon.
You get back here, James.
Target destroyed.
Starting my scans. Scan complete. Fire!
Target shields offline. Under attack.
Right behind him so he can be as effective as possible.
Under attack. Target destroyed.
Yeah, nothing but small fish now.
Okie day. Actually, you know what? I think that's going to be a good point for us to call it because it's getting pretty late for me over here. And, yeah, we'll continue this tomorrow. Actually, no, sorry. Deep Rock Galactic will be what we are going to be live streaming tomorrow. So, yeah, let's go ahead and turn in our bounties and see where we landed and then call it for
Frame
the day.
shift drive charging.
Alrighty.
4, 3, 2, 1. Engage.
Mexico City. Here we come.
I still think it's funny his name, Bob Car.
Needs to be Boboco. Boboco. Although it's not far off, because I'm pretty sure it's manufactured Bob's. Why Bob's? Because Bob's does everything. Alright, let's see where we landed. Too fast, too fast, too much shame! Yep, shame. Ding ding.
Ding 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 ding.
It's not a complete live stream
Shame.
without a loop shame.
Shame. I think it's funny how you're in the more maneuverable ship and you still did a loop of shame. I'm gonna get away with this.
Whatever, man. Whatever.
Very slow and steady really does win the race. But then again, you could speed yourself into the
Access granted.
Still
Adjust
good?
heading for approach to pad 03.
It's still running over. Ah! Oh, you got there before I did. Scraping a
and
little bit of my...
balls on the way in too. Although I don't think that's much of a different story compared to what just happened to you.
Yeah, I kind of lost a little bit of shields, gave them to the
Ow,
mail
wait.
slot.
My dog's here.
Warning, landing gear not deployed.
Can't win if you can't land. Ah!
Touchdown confirmed.
Bam.
Dispatching ground crew. Welcome to our starboard, Commander.
Alright. Restock, refuel, repair, and reintegrity.
Maintenance, yep.
Make sure we don't forget this.
99%.
Alright. Made about
Tax.
a little over 2 mil.
4.1 million.
Nice.
Incoming message.
Like,
And
me a
I'm back
message.
up to 240 million. Closest to
Reputation.
being able to get my bulkheads.
Nice. Let's see here.
Although I have a funny feeling this is going to end before tomorrow.
Yep, I
Look how
am.
close it is to tier 8.
Oh yeah. Yep, I'm still sitting in the 25 percentile with 17 million contributed. A little over. That's okay.
See, if you were to get above 25, you get into the top 10%, I think.
Yeah. That's okay. That's okay. 17 mil or whatever it's gonna give me at tier 8 isn't too bad. Oh. They're good. But that's okay, guys. I think we've done a considerable amount considering for the CG. I think the traders of Narri feel a little more safe in their transport ships, although, yeah.
Well, maybe not so much. I don't really care that much about the NPCs, I just want them.
Fair enough. We go where the credits are. Oh man, credit hunters, that's what we should be called.
Well, you see, if we were credit hunters, then we'd be using the game's latest exploit right now.
Fair. Instead of doing it the legit way.
Exactly. I like earning stuff. And guess what? I'm almost 50% building!
Nice. Nice.
It's, well, it was like when I was first in the Deadly Gun Hunter, it took me like a week to get 10%. I've gone up like 20% in the last couple of days.
Nice. Well, I was finding more and more elite pilots, despite more of them being like odd miners. But anyways, yeah, we've been getting some more higher end combatants. So to speak. Oh man. All right, guys. Well, it's been swell. Thank you all for joining us for this live stream. Like I said before, if you guys have any opinions that you'd like to add or any input you would like to give towards the discussion of Squadrons, feel free to either leave it in the comments down below or feel free to hop over to the forum Frontier Forums, see what other suggestions are being thrown about. I know I'll be keeping a close eye on it just to see what unfolds. And like I said, guys, tomorrow I should be, as soon as I get home from the IRL work, I should be going live tomorrow. We'll be playing a little more of the game preview, Deep Rock Galactic. So make sure you guys are subscribed so you don't miss it. Anyways, this is Commander Fuzzyviz. I'm signing out. Thank you all for joining us.
Snowy pastures, summer dawns as the winter passes. Celebration start as the golden trains. We take a step onto celestial plains.
dawns as the winter passes. Celebration starts, the golden trains. Take a step onto celestial planes.